So, who's in B2B?
I feel lonely around here sometimes lately. Almost everything I see is Amazon and B2C stuff. All the active top guys on the forum are in B2C, as far as I know. Maybe I'm wrong. I've always I'm 20.
1,5 years since I started been trying my luck in B2B for no specific reason. I don't know.
I think I'm better at finding needs in B2B versus B2C, and I see no reason in shifting my focus right now. I want discussions on things like client meetings, payment terms, bad payers, negotiation, making offers, B2B marketing, converting over the phone, repeat business, etc. Am I alone on this
I'm
one?
B2B.
I'm B2B. Fewer customers. Repeat customers. Much higher lifetime customer value.
I'm also in B2B. Feel free to email me.
I think B2B is the best. Have you all had experience in your particular industry before uncovering the need?
I think B2B says, especially mobile, has a huge
I'm
future.
B2B.
So Andy, I suppose you do PPC advertising in your business? I'm struggling with my PPC advertising, because the monthly searches are so low, it only generates a few clicks a day. Still, the average order size is around $2,000, the traffic volume is just so low it's frustrating.
I don't use PPC to get clients for myself, if that's what you
That
meant.
just comes naturally via word of mouth. However, I do plan on using PPC to generate leads that I'll use to acquire businesses who'll buy the leads. Bid high, and remarket to them too.
You're not alone, man. I do B2B and B2C, and I much prefer B2B. Regarding your discussion points in B2B, I prefer to communicate over the phone.
This saves tremendous time. I never much liked the B2B sales role of, say, a commercial real estate broker, precisely for the time reason.
As a commercial real estate broker, you have spent your time showing spaces, and your market is severely limited. You can't affect the world on a global basis if you're limited to only brokering deals in a particular state. It's all about time efficiency.
Selling the right service over the phone can be extremely effective, especially if you are using the right tools. An example of this is the program called a cloud-based power dialer that boosts phone prospecting productivity 447%.
It does this by drastically reducing the time you typically waste manually dialing numbers, listening to rings, and leaving a voicemail. Phone Burner automates all of this, and can make 85 to 90 calls in an hour.
If you want to really put this concept on steroids, you can use the Mojo dialer, which is 3 times more effective than Phone Burner. Essentially works the same as Phone Burner, except it can call up to. That is absolutely insane. When I was 21 years old, I worked in a boiler room, and was usually one of the top callers every day. On my best 12-hour days, I was making 300 to 400 calls in a day. This ensures that you are not wasting any of your time dialing, and you are only talking to the people on your preloaded list. I bet Chris Gardner would love to have had a dialer like this, because in the clip above he talks about having to do in 6 hours what other people did in 9 hours. He mentioned that to save time, he stopped hanging up the phone. He realized that by not hanging up the phone, he had another 8 minutes per day. Just imagine how much extra time he would have if, in addition to not hanging up the phone, he didn't have to listen to the phone ring, and was just automatically having conversations back to back to back. Add to this the ability to leave voicemails with the click of a mouse, as opposed to wasting 30 to 60 seconds leaving a voicemail for each person he called, and you have an extremely time-efficient hustle. In the Wolf of Wall Street clip above, Leo channeling Jordan Belfort tells his army, "Those phones on your desks are not going to dial themselves." Back in the day when Belfort was in the market for $1 million per week, that was certainly true.
Today, it's a different story. If you use the tools mentioned above, the little secret is that the phones do indeed dial themselves. Jordan likens to those black boxes, the little hunks of plastic, to M16 just waiting for a trained Marine to pull the trigger.
If you are already a killer on the phone, then these tools can really turn you into a cold-blooded assassin. And if your skills on the phone need some work, then there is probably no better way to improve them by using these tools.
At the end of the day, Sales is a numbers game, and the more you put the numbers, number of dials, messages left, conversations had, etc., the more you put the power of numbers in your favor. Yeah, I'm in B2B2C.
How did you guys find your B2B niches? Experience in the industry? I see needs or improvements in my industry but not sure how to validate them, especially given potential conflict of interest.
In my case, experience in the industry creates a nice barrier to entry as well. You've got two ways you can go. If you're bringing a new product or service to the market, of course you need to validate it.
There's no reason to reinvent the wheel though, especially in B2B. Find some place people are already making money, something businesses are already buying.
Just find your USP and beat your competition. It's a simple formula really. Most people just fail in the execution.
There's a ton of B2B software that needs updating in nearly every niche. Get out there and find it.
In my role I notice quite a few areas where the company is running with old spreadsheets etc. There would be a much better software solution for this that would standardize the way the company does
things. It's oil and gas with multiple operating plants, but how do you validate that they would pay? Anyway, didn't mean to thread hijack.
It's safer to stick to already existing software and make them much better. Then sell your version.
I'm into cloud-based B2B marketing. Feel free to discuss your queries.
Solid. My experiences echoes yours, and reminds me of a few Robert Greene ideas. One is the general idea that the truth is seen, not heard.
You can talk and talk for days about the vision of your project, and how it will change your industry, perhaps even the world, but the impact is low, until people see it and feel it.
I paid $1,500 to a former Now DNV rep to prepare a case study for one of my more impressive clients. It was worth it, because it mathematically and empirically validates all of my claims, that the value of the commercial property went up by over $1 million. You can tie this together with lowering net operating income, combined with cap rates, that the owner put no money out of pocket, that the monthly financing payments to finance the lights are less than the monthly savings, that the utility cut them a fat-ass check, and that they can take advantage of EPAC 2005 tax incentives, and, most importantly, that they're moving forward with stage 2 of the project, which will be a total of $3 million.
Even still, all of that doesn't compare to having an actual video of my client, the head of property management, on video attesting to all of these facts.
Facts are facts and all the haters get smacked.
You are much more focused. Much more real. We have always been cheering for you. You seem less reliant on chemicals, and more reliant on yourself. Real.
B2B is where it's at. They spend more and have more
My
leverage.
insanely high levels of ambition are directly correlated to the physical and spiritual pain I've endured. Chemicals, medicine, whatever you want to call it, do not fix the problem.
Only action does, which sucks in the arduous development mode. And now I am finally able to unleash myself on the market.
I know have been cheering for me. Going hard for the whole night, 'cause I ain't going back to my old life, I promise.
B2B data-driven market is the right way to achieve goals.
Resonating with the primary objective, dramatically driving the process combined with emerging digital communications give you more targeted approach and plan.
Search volumes of consumers looking for the businesses.
16 years in B2B. One face-to-face meeting with client, everything else over phone or email. I don't work with clients not willing to pay 50% upfront. You should know if they are a good or bad payer before you do business with them. My negotiation strategy is: here is my price. Do you want it? My marketing strategy is to try and be where they are when they start looking for the solution. I know it is too hard to convince or educate people they have a problem they don't know they have. Converting is converting. Doesn't matter the manner or the media. And just like any other sales device, you get better results with testing. Repeat business is awesome.
That's all I got.
Client meetings, figure out how your customer likes to be contacted. All are
Phone
different.
is the best IMHO if no preference. Payment terms depends on amount, but like said, some percentage upfront, the rest at closing or delivery or etc.
Think cowboy handoff. Bad players, calculate the percentage of bad players. I have a number. If less than 3%, I eat it and ignore it.
Not worth my time. Negotiation. I usually have 3 numbers in my head. What I want, what would be acceptable, and what price I would walk out. Making offers. I make a lot B2B marketing. Word of mouth is the best. Figure out how to get to that point. Converting over the phone, figure out how to get those calls incoming and conversions will handle themselves. Repeat business is the best. New customers are expensive. Milk those existing
Nice
customers.
article, TKS.
Carrot agreed. Get out of the building. Talk to people. Those you think are competitors might be your biggest customers.
B2B is gaining attention. Currently I'm in the middle of making a minimal viable product. Software for an entire doesn't exist in the market, and I would also like to gain some tips from other B2B startups on things like optimal pricing models.
And there lies my issue. I'm not an IT guy, and all B2B people talk about is some form of software. Although I know there is more traditional B2B around. I'm not an IT guy either. I just happened to be in a startup creating a software-based solution. I'm sure the marketing aspects and whatnot would be similar. A tool I got recommended to use is Business Canvas Model by Strategizer. It doesn't matter what you are selling, software, widgets, business processes, or office supplies, it is still selling to a business. Make sure you can demonstrate your value. ROI of equipment or software should be less than 3 years. I'm in hospital B2B sales. I'm about as green as you can get, as this is a huge jump from my previous profession. I'll let you know as I start learning the ropes a little more. Overall, I'd say it's a pain in the ass due to massive barriers, and hospitals are incredibly slow. Good and bad right there. Any thoughts on B2B e-commerce warehouse or shipper? You'll need some extra space at home if you want to run this business out of your house, but with a well-organized basement or garage space, you can do it.
E-commerce is a huge business, and it's an especially appealing one for small business owners who can't afford to rent a retail space.
Of course, is that packing and shipping all those orders can be a real hassle. Many e-commerce companies would like to outsource this function to a third party who can keep the inventory in stock and ship orders as they come in.
There are not many companies that offer this service to small retailers, so you could be filling a huge gap in the B2B market.
What types of businesses would use it? Does it improve ROI? Save me time? What I'm willing to give depends on what it does for me. That's an interesting idea. Basically a B2B fulfillment center. Size might be a concern due to most B2B shipments being larger than B2C. I might be tempted to set up something like this in North Mississippi, close to major transport hub, Memphis, but cheap real estate or warehousing. Find a good manager, run it remotely,